Hi, everybody. This is Bart Jaworski, CEO and co-founder of Group 11 Resources. I'm a mining analyst and geologist and 25 years in the industry, and I'm here to tell you about Group 11. So Group 11 basically is drilling the most significant discovery in Ireland in over a decade. The discovery is called Ballywire. It was discovered in September of 22, and the metal suite includes not only zinc-lead, as you would expect in Ireland, but very high silver, as well as copper, germanium, and a little bit of antimony starting to crop up. We are Glencore and Michael Gentile owned, both 14%. We also have 5% institutional interest. Cash levels, we're very nicely cashed up at $8.4 million, which gives us over 25,000 meters of funded drilling over the next 18 months. And our market cap is about $100 million Canadian. In terms of the team, Michael Gentile sits on the board. He joined us about a year ago. Very, very good news. We love having Mike on the board. He's a portfolio manager for anyone that doesn't know Mike, and a very avid investor in the mining junior space. Glencore also has a director on our board. Glencore, there's a trifecta relationship in our relationship with Glencore in that they are our next door neighbors. They are one of our largest shareholders, and they sit on the board. And that director is Franz Bollman. He's a finance manager over at Glencore Zinc. And also on the board are Dan McInnes, who's a geologist and ex-Mag Silver. Myself, again, I'm a geologist and ex-mining analyst. Brendan Cahill, who is a lawyer, a longtime mining executive, and ingratiated within Irish circles in Canada and back in Ireland. And Alessandro Battelli, we have as a chartered accountant associated with the Lundin Group of companies. That's the board. Very quickly, management. Jasmine Lau is our CFO in Vancouver. David Furlong, myself and David started the company together. We're the day-to-day of the company for the last 10 years. And Mark Holdstock is very famous in Irish circles for having discovered part of one of the largest zinc, the largest zinc deposit in Ireland, which is Navan. Moving on to where we are in Ireland, this circle that I'm flashing back and forth is our discovery, Ballywire. It's on the Rathdowney Trend, which also hosts the famous Lisheen and Galmoy mines just up the road. We are only 50 kilometers away from Glencore's Pallas Green deposit, as I mentioned, and I'm just about to jump into that yellow box there. But before I do, just going to mention that Ireland got number one in terms of policy perception index on the Fraser Institute's annual mining survey, which just came out a few weeks ago. So I think that's worth mentioning. And also the key differentiator for Ireland is the infrastructure. So not only do we have the great rocks, but we have the infrastructure, which are absolutely super key for base metal projects. Without infrastructure, you're as good as you're as good as dead in the base metal space. You're not going to get developed. You need those roads, rail, power, year-round tidewater, any kind of access into the site, unless you're absolutely enormous and you can offset that. And also, we've got proximity to European smelters in Ireland, and that is why we've had the six discoveries that were made in Ireland over the last 60 years have actually been put into production. And that's a key point to make. So back to the yellow box there to jump into the Limerick area of Ireland, and this is basically what you get when you zoom in on that. First thing to mention is Glencore is everything you see in blue. South 32 is everything you see in yellow. All that green there is our ground position. So we have the dominant land position in this camp. And as I mentioned, the Ballywire discovery is only 20 kilometers away from Glencore's Pallas Green deposit, one of the largest undeveloped zinc deposits in the world, 45 million tons, 8.4% zinc lead. And right beside, we have our very own deposit called Stonepark, 5 million tons, 11.3%. So it's richer and shallower than our next door neighbor, which makes it of strategic value for us. Now, with all that as a backdrop, let's dive into the Ballywire discovery itself. And basically, this is what it looked like back in 1997, just to showcase there was no drilling here whatsoever, except for this hole in 1997. So these guys had actually nearly made this discovery back then. They cut 2.5 meters of 6% zinc lead. And interestingly, a half-meter slug of massive sulfide running 20% zinc and lead. They kind of lost it, though, after that. They drilled two more holes, which were smoke but no fire, and they got wiped out by the great financial crisis, and this became all open ground. And we staked this ground years later in 2016. We drilled our first hole in 2019. Here we got some pretty good smoke, no fire, but a couple of years later we came back, we drilled this hole, and this got 3 meters of 12% zinc lead and nearly 50 grams per ton of silver. So the interesting thing there was a half-meter slug of massive sulfide here, just like that hole 1 kilometer away from 1997, which immediately suggested to us perhaps these are connected. And so we decided to step out 400 meters in all directions. The first hole we drilled was here. Was mineralized, but not so much. Here, weak mineralization again. The third hole started to get a lot better, and then bang, on the fourth hole, we got our discovery. hole, which was roughly our 100th hole since inception. So it was a lot, 7 years of trying to make a discovery in Ireland. 20 million bucks, 100 drill hole. This was around the 100th hole, and we got 60 meters of mineralization. Include that in that was 10 meters of 10% zinc lead and about 100 grams silver. So that was fantastic. And then basically, I'm going to skip ahead 3 years just to save time here and show you the progress we made since September of 22 to September of 2025. And you can see a vast change in the amount of work that we've done. So massive progress, basically made this whole discovery and extended it out here. The red is the flat-lying massive sulfides. The pinks are equally good grade, but just veins and disseminations instead of massive sulfides, so equally good. And the green here, the dark green, is more the copper-silver rich mineralization. So you can see things are very, very much happening here. Some of the notable hits that we had along the way are 30 meters of 10% with good silver. Here was a 15 meters of 12% color with very good silvers. Here was 9 meters of 24% with good silver. And then more recently, we started getting this. This was an outstanding hole, 40 meters of 10% with good silver. And then we got this copper hit, which was basically 6 meters of nearly 1,000 grams per ton and nearly 4% copper. So I'm just going to zoom in on that, B to B prime, so show you a cross section. So we were getting zinc in the red area here at the base of the Wall-Sortian limestone, which it typically occurs there. As we moved along, the zone started to increase in strength, and we started getting the green zones, those copper areas down below. And then this is the hole that really did it for us. We got this 20-meter thick zone of mineralization here with 350 grams silver and 1.5% copper. But within that was that 6-meter hit that I was just mentioning, nearly 1,000 grams per ton, nearly 4% copper. And why that was interesting is if you zoom back, what happens is right below should be something called the lower limestone shale, which is known to host copper-silver mineralization in and around Ballywire, and only in this part of Ireland within, say, 5 to 45 kilometers of Ballywire. It's almost a mini copper belt of Ireland. And so our thought was, wow, could there be some copper-silver mineralization underneath our zinc mineralization? So we drilled our first hole. This was only announced a week or two ago. And luckily, we did get some lower limestone shale here in the green. And so the question was, did we actually hit any copper? So the answer is yes, indeed, we did. And so I'm happy to report here, this is fresh news from a couple of weeks ago. We got this zone here, 6 meters of 200 grams and north of 0.3% copper with some nice hits in here, up to 2% copper, 1,200 grams silver. And the other, we got some copper in here and copper all along. But the other best hit of this hole was this 17-meter thick zone, which had copper, silver, and antimony. And the sweet spot of that, the core of that hit was 2.6 meters, 2/3 of an ounce of silver, 1.1% copper, and 0.14 antimony. Antimony, for those of you don't follow antimony, is about between $15 and $30 per pound, depending on the source you look at. I think it's more towards the $30 range right now. So that 0.15 is actually quite a meaningful number. So what we're going to do now is basically trace that mineralization up dip and down dip to try to get a third dimension or a second dimension along that plane rather. And then we're going to step out along our discovery to date and basically drill all along. So the copper hole that I just mentioned is this blue line over here. So obviously there's a lot of work for us to do. And obviously the feeder that's feeding the zinc is the same feeder that's feeding the copper. So ergo, there should be, this should be a very prospective horizon down below because we already have the top horizon and the lower horizon should be there. So we have to test that out. And that's what we're going to be busy drilling over the next 18 months, along with the bigger picture, which is our 6-kilometer trend, which is defined by these 4 gravity high anomalies, A through D, within the Wall-Sortian limestone, which is highlighted here. And so if I put a box around that, you can see that sort of search area that we have. And everything I've talked about so far is basically on one of these 4 gravity high anomalies, the C gravity anomaly. And so you could argue we're only 25% of the way through our journey here at Ballywire, and there's a lot more work to be done. Along with testing for that deeper copper, we're going to be testing the D, the B, and the A anomalies over the next 18 months or so. So we very much look forward to it. That's the story in a nutshell. I'll leave you with these upcoming catalysts. And of course, if you want more information, please check out our website at group11resources.com and or look at my any news release we've had, and our emails and phone numbers are on there as well. So look forward to hearing from you, and thanks very much for watching this video.